Hi, I'm Chris Manella, and this is the Step Over Podcast.
Hi, I'm Alton Copeland, and this is Step Over Podcast.
Welcome to the Step Over Podcast. My name is Josh Lemoyne. Thanks for joining. I hope you're well. You look great. That new haircut's really working for you. If this is your first time listening, special welcome to you. This is I try and make it a hyper-local soccer podcast, focusing on the sport in Ottawa, how it works. When I feel like it or I have time, I put out an episode. So there's no schedule. It's just like a little treat in your podcast subscription list. So you get to listen to me for a little bit. I'll drone on about something. And then you get to listen to me chat with someone much more interesting than I am. And on today's episode, that'll be professional soccer player and Orleans native Miranda Smith. I had the very good fortune to chat with her a little while ago, actually, just as she was starting her second season as a professional. And this year that was playing with a team in Akureyri, Iceland. So I got to ask her all about that. And she was fantastic. I think you'll really enjoy it. But this has been a really fun week if you're a fan of Atletico Ottawa. They finally, after 600 plus days after first being announced, they got to play their first home game on Saturday. And it was such a fantastic time. I guess they were allowed to hold 12,000 people for it. That was the pay what you want game. They sold them all out. And if you were there, how good did that feel to be, A, just in a stadium, period, and B, in that atmosphere with thousands of other people. There's not much like it, and it was nice to have, that back again. And the fact that it was such a good game, too. Both Ottawa and Halifax, they both had their chances. With a few minutes to go, it was 1-1. Then Brian Wright puts Ottawa up with a few minutes to go. They hold on, they get the 3 points. Crowd goes wild. It was just such a good night. And then last night, Wednesday night, Ottawa took on York United. And again, it wasn't the massive crowd that we had on Saturday. But I thought it looked decent. I don't know what the final numbers were, but, it wasn't a disappointing crowd by any means. Whatever number that was, it looked pretty good. And the crowd seemed into it. It was another entertaining game. There were a few really good performances. Pauli made some really key saves early on. But one thing that I think needs to be appreciated, so head coach Mista was not on the sidelines because he was serving a suspension. So it was assistant coach AJ Cabra in charge. Now AJ's just starting out his coaching career. He just retired at the end of last season. He's only 26, but he was in charge for this game. And around the half-hour mark, I'd say about 30 minutes into the first half, he saw something that he didn't like, and he decided to make a substitution. And he replaced Uche with Vidi Martinez. So Uche, don't think it was hurt. He was pissed off that he was being taken off. But up until that point, the game was fairly even. I think that you would give the balance of play to Ottawa, but York had far more shots at that point. So Cabra thought he would make an early substitution. And from that point on, I think Ottawa basically dominated play, both in possession and in shots. And I think he also made a formation change as well. I think they started with a 4-3-3, and they seemed to go to a 4-4-2. Anyways, I don't want that to go unnoticed, because one thing I appreciate from a coach, especially a new coach, and I think it's a really good sign for AJ, is, you want a bit of bravery from your coach. And I don't think we see that enough. I don't think that was a Mista call. I think that was an AJ Cabra call. And I mean, it could have backfired, but based on the results, it absolutely was the right call. And yeah, having the guts to make a call like that, make that change, make that substitution, change the tactics a little bit, I think that bodes very well for AJ's career down the road. He's still young. I'm not suggesting he's going to take over or anything like that. He needs to cut his teeth for a good while yet. But some players, they retire, and you can tell they don't have the mind for coaching, and something like that, I think shows that he's got it. He's got that mind for it. And he seems like a guy who's going to have a long coaching career ahead of him. But yeah, so in 2 home games, Ottawa's got 4 points. And if you'd said, hey, after these 2 games, you're going to have 4 points, you would have taken that. Absolutely, you would have. These last 2 matches at home, the team's shown a lot more organization, a lot more purpose, and that maybe they don't belong in the bottom of the standings where they are right now. So we're going to see if this is the start of a more improved stretch for Atletico Ottawa. Before the break, I just want to give a shout out to Ottawa South United. They finished their PLSQ seasons on both the men's and the women's sides. I know on the men's side they didn't have quite as strong a season as they might have liked, They finished 8th in the 10-team table, but they were very competitive all season. And on the women's side, they should be especially proud because really they were in contention for the Final Four, which is the PLSQ playoffs, right up until the last weekend. But it wasn't to be for them either. But now that that season's over, those players will be starting their university seasons. So players like Taylor Saunders at Carleton, Maddie Strickler at Queens, Evelyn Arsenault down at UConn, Tristan McFarland at Hartford, and many others. We're looking forward to seeing what they do over the coming months. Because, yeah, American schools, they're just about to start their seasons. And U Sports action also right around the corner. So there's going to be a lot of really great soccer to look forward to. And on that note, we're going to chat with someone who played university soccer both in the States and in Canada and won a University World Cup. So we're going to chat with Miranda Smith right after this. So Miranda Smith joins us from Iceland. Can you tell us the name of the town that you're in?
Yes. So forgive me if I don't do the pronunciation justice, but it's Akureyri. Akureyri. Yeah.
Yeah, like on a map, like that's one of the, like you probably lucked out by going to Akureyri, because there's so many towns there that are like unpronounceable. Have you learned any other town names? Because there's some that are like 40 letters long with like non-English characters.
I think the only one I know how to say is the capital, Reykjavik. That one's actually not that bad.
It's not too bad, yeah. The ones that end in Vic aren't too bad.
Yeah. There's
Vic
another
or
one
Vic
like Keflavik or something like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, like the airport one. Yeah.
yeah.
I think there's one that's just called Vic.
Oh, really? Probably.
Yeah. Like on the south, I think there's a town of Vic.
Like even learning my club name was hard. So
what is the name of your current club?
So it's the combination of the two clubs in Akureyri, and it's Thor is like the first part, and then Kawa, and then together it's Thor Kawa. But when I first read about it and everything, I thought it was pronounced Dorka because of their D letter.
The D with the line through it.
Yeah. So I was saying Dorka, and yeah, it was way off.
So how long have you been there?
Just about, I think it's 2 weeks, maybe a bit less or a bit more, one of the two. But I spent the first 5-6 days in quarantine.
Okay.
In a hotel. So
you haven't been able to try a lot of the local flavors from what I understand?
Yeah, no, I have not. I haven't the first week has kind of been a bit of a whirlwind week and a half, trying to settle in, figure everything out. So I actually we haven't gone out to eat yet, really. So I've just coffee. I've gone to coffee shops because that's.
How is the coffee in Iceland?
Good. It's the one thing I can't go without, but they don't have Starbucks here. It's so tragic for me. There's no chain coffee shop here. Everything's very small shops. Even there's no McDonald's here. There's
so you
not
have to
many.
Get to know which ones are good and which ones aren't.
Yeah, but so far actually, the cappuccinos I've had from each place have been pretty solid. So
okay, I got a list of foods that are apparently very either common or they're Icelandic things that you have to try, and I'm just wondering if you've tried any of them. So have you tried mashed fish?
No, but I believe they did give me that at the hotel. It literally looked like mashed up fish, but they mixed it with olives, and I don't like olives, so I didn't give that a try at all.
Have you tried pickled herring?
No, I have not.
I have a dog barking upstairs. Can you hear that?
No, actually, so you're good.
Okay. So pickled herring.
Yeah, no, I haven't given that a go yet, but I'll always try things once, so maybe if that comes up, we'll see.
Okay.
But
There's a kind of yogurt called skyr. I know we have skyr in Canada, but I don't know if it's different there. Apparently, it's classified as a kind of cheese there.
Um, well, so I do actually have a big tub of that yogurt in my fridge right now, but I don't know about the cheese like a description.
I don't know if it's cheese-like. I just know that it's classified as a cheese.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know. I think it's like yogurt. So yeah, I get like a vanilla flavor, it tastes like yogurt. Just like it's like a Greek yogurt with like the thickness, but maybe like a slight bit thicker than Greek yogurt.
So apparently they have their own Icelandic ice cream and Icelandic rye breads.
I have not tried Icelandic ice cream. Not opposed to that because I love ice cream. The rye bread, I had rye bread at a hotel, but is it like the top of the line Icelandic rye bread? Probably not. So I'll have to give that a try.
Okay.
But it was good what I had. I thought it just tasted like rye bread that I would get home. Yeah.
Okay. And there's this traditional food that I'm gonna butcher the name, but it's spelled hakarl. It's like a fermented shark. And from experience, I can tell you that it smells like a cat litter box.
Oh.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's got like a cheesy consistency. But it's like it's not something that Iceland people eat now, but they do give it to tourists. Have you had a chance to?
No, and I'm not. I just said I'm pretty open to trying things, but I don't know if I'd be able to do that.
Do you know what they do with it? They bury it and they let it like basically rot, and then they dig it up and they air it out. So like if you're driving around, there'll be these barns that don't have walls, and they just have these like pieces of meat hanging from them to like air them out, and then they feed it to tourists.
Yeah, I've yet to come across that, and I'm not upset about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know
if you do, let us know. So it obviously doesn't taste good either. But the traditional thing to do to follow it up with, to wash down the taste, is this drink called Brennivin, which they also call Black Death.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so you have your hakarl, your like fermented shark, and then you wash it down with a shot of Black Death, because that's the one thing that's like tastes worse than it. It's like a black licorice schnapps.
Oh,
but you can get it everywhere.
Yeah, I hate black licorice, so that would just be adding even more grossness to the flavoring.
So that tourist day in your future is not going to be a good one.
No, it will not be a good one for me. Oh, yeah. First, if I don't get sick off the shark, I would definitely get sick off the black licorice.
Okay, so you're from Ottawa. What neighborhood did you call home when you were growing up?
I grew up in Orleans. I went to high school in Orleans, and then my parents got divorced in grade 9, and my dad moved to Stittsville, and eventually my mom moved to Hunt Club, but I finished my like high school time in Orleans, and then like now I've kind of lived everywhere. But
okay.
Yeah.
When did you first start playing soccer?
I started when I was 4, just with the Gloucester Dragons. And I think I played there until like competitive soccer became a thing for like the age that I was at. I think it was under 9. And then, yeah, from there I just like continued to play competitively, but I started in the Dragons at 4. Yeah.
Well, like when did you decide to start taking soccer? Like you make that your thing, like take it seriously?
So when I was 9, I did my first year of competitive soccer, but like, my team wasn't the strongest. Like my parents didn't know anything much about soccer in the area. It was like new for all of us. And then, so I played my first year there, and then, a couple like parents from other teams were like, oh, you should bring her here. Like there's more training, coaching. And then I ended up meeting like Sanjeev Parmar through one of the parents, or my parents met him. And then he was like starting this program for who he would select as like the top 20 girls in Ottawa for our age group, and was just going to train them like all year kind of deal. So I joined. He like evaluated me, and when he decided that he would take me into the program is when I also did competitive gymnastics, or for like, I was doing 20 hours a week of gymnastics at the time.
Okay.
So I went and like got evaluated for gymnastics too, because I wanted to kind of figure out which is so crazy because I was so young, but like where I might have the most potential. Because I think like what made me good at gymnastics is I was fearless and small. So I was good at gymnastics for my age. So but I ended up picking soccer because I thought I would have a better pathway. Okay. And then once I quit gymnastics, I was able to like fully focus on soccer.
Okay. So like one thing I've often heard, and like and there's a lot to like back this up, is that like kids who do more than one activity, who do more than one sport, tend to do better at like everything that they're doing. Do you think that doing gymnastics kind of help with your soccer as well?
I 100% will say gymnastics was like the biggest blessing for me as a child and helped me so much in soccer. Like just even, I mean, I know you don't need to be flexible to play soccer, and I'm not flexible now, but at the time, like having like some of the things that come from gymnastics, like definitely helped me. Like we do a lot of conditioning in gymnastics, so I was strong, and being flexible, like I've learned now as I'm not flexible, if you're like, you can run faster because like you can stride. Like when I go to physio, they have said like I'm so tight that like it slows me down because I can't reach my like full stride. Where when I was in gymnastics, I was really flexible, and I just feel like it helped in so many different aspects, like discipline, drive, like commitment. I don't know. I think it's so beneficial. There's like lots of studies that apparently say that gymnastics is like really helps with other sports as well. So, well,
I mean, gymnasts have to be some of the strongest athletes in the world. Like some of the things that I don't know a lot about gymnastics. I was never in gymnastics,
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's different things that you see at the Olympics that like, certain gymnasts do and like some don't. But like the control that you have to have, you have to be extremely strong to do those things.
Yeah, and I think even just like coordination, like it helps with that. And like strength wise, like as a gymnast, you're not just like dominant in like one area. Like you have to be kind of strong all over. So I think that's something that like helped me a lot when I was younger, is like just like balanced. I don't know how to explain that. But like I wasn't just like super strong in one area. Like I just had a good balance all over,
Okay. Did it help, like you said that you're a bit on the smaller side? Did that help kind of like protecting the ball and kind of fending off maybe bigger players?
Yeah, definitely. And I think like might be a little more like agile from it. Maybe not so much anymore. It's been quite some time, but back then.
So I didn't realize that when you went to university, like you started your university career at the University of Memphis.
Yeah.
So what brought you there?
I guess like from the time I decided to pursue soccer and had chosen that as my pathway, my goals were always to go to school in the US. That's kind of what we're taught is like the end all be all. So as soon as I was old enough to kind of understand and everything, that was what was set to be like the golden path. Like, this is where you're going to go. That's how it's going to be. And that's how you'll get to like your best, everything, reach all your. So that was like the end all be all. I really like got connected with Memphis through the provincial program. I did that from the actual provincial program was U14 to U16, and then once you leave U16, you become part of their like NTC program, which was like the National Training Center. So I did that pretty much until I left for university. But yeah, I got to Memphis because of the provincial program, and one of the coaches had like connected me with Memphis.
Okay. Yeah, because I know Memphis is a bit of like a Team Canada type program. Like, they have a ton of Canadians. There haven't been too many episodes of this podcast yet, but one of my guests was Clarissa Larissi. I'm not sure if you played with her. Yeah, it seems like they really, like, I think at the moment like half their squad is from Canada.
Yeah.
Did you find that like that they were specifically maybe tapping a market that most universities don't necessarily go after, poaching the best players?
Maybe I'm not like entirely sure. I think now a lot of American schools are starting to look into like having Canadian players. Like, even some of the bigger schools like UCLA now has some Canadians, and like I feel like when I was a bit younger and looking, like, not all American schools were looking, and I know Memphis was always looking at Canadians. It's definitely like they're good at getting Canadian players because they can back it up with the fact that they have so many, right? So it's like it's an appealing process if you see like so many Canadians have been there.
Well, yeah, like there's so many Canadians getting so much playing time there.
Yeah.
So what were you studying there?
I took journalism. When I came home, I ended up switching into communications, just because I think I have like a bit more options with communications, but I think my goal is to do some sort of like broadcasting. So I will have to probably go back to school to do a little bit of like more targeted towards broadcasting. So yeah, that's why I went into journalism at Memphis.
Okay, gotcha. It was 3 years at Memphis. So you switched to the U of O. You came back home. Was it soccer that brought you back to Ottawa, or was it the program?
It was soccer. Like, my decision was actually based purely off of soccer, because I loved school there and I loved my friends. My boyfriend was there, so I had a lot in Memphis that I wanted to stay for, but ultimately my decision came down to this sport that I spent my whole life working for, and this experience that I had spent my whole life to get to, and that I just was really unhappy in. And I felt I deserved for myself like the opportunity to enjoy the sport and something I worked my whole life for. I was at a point where I never wanted to play soccer again. Like, I hated it. So leaving, even though it was hard, was the best decision I ever made. I feel like the environment that was created in Memphis just wasn't healthy for me. And I became like a shell of myself, like as a player for sure, and even a bit as a person. I just wasn't happy when you're doing something every day that like gives you anxiety, and it's like that carries over into your everyday life. And so it wasn't just like I would go to soccer, but then I'd be like overwhelmed all day and just struggling. So just for my own mental health and love of the game, I wanted to love the game I spent my whole life working for. So I left, and it was the best thing I ever did for myself.
Was it like the nature of the student athlete in the States? Because it's different being being at a school and like part of a sports program there than it is in Canada. Did that
Yeah.
play into kind of what made that an unhealthy situation for you?
I think I don't think it was necessarily that. I think that unfortunately in my case, I my relationship with the coaching staff was very hit and miss, and um often it depended on the day. Sometimes we had a good relationship, sometimes we didn't, and it was just really hard on me, and I just had lost like all my confidence in soccer and as a player. And when you aren't confident and you don't feel as though your coaching staff is confident in you, then it's hard to go out and perform and not be scared. And I just was scared. And I think like I loved being a student athlete. It was great. And I loved like a little bit different in the US was like how close all student athletes were and like knew each other. Going to school in Ottawa was a bit different, but I actually loved the environment of the student athlete community in the US. It's just was unfortunate. And I think something that is a bit different also is like for the coaching staff, a lot of American schools, like the coaching staff, like if they're not winning, their job is on the line. I know that's like it's the same in Canada, but maybe not to like as high of a degree. So like when things aren't going well for them, it can become a tougher environment.
Okay, that's fair.
And like I don't want to sit here and like I'm not trying to bash Memphis. It just wasn't a great fit for me. And yeah.
But I mean, good for you for recognizing that like that can't have been an easy thing to do, and deciding to to leave that program, you said was a good decision for you, but that can't have been easy to do, and I'm sure it would have been there's probably pressure to stay as well. So good for you for recognizing that.
Thanks. There definitely it was hard. Like it was a tough decision. You're leaving a full scholarship. And in Canada, they don't offer full athletic scholarships. So that was hard. And especially like going into my senior year, it's a very hard, like it's rare that people leave and they're going into their senior year. But ultimately, I felt like my happiness, like in terms of even the scholarship, I felt like you couldn't, in my eyes, like I couldn't put a price on my happiness. So if I was going home and like I wasn't getting as much, like it was okay to me because I deserve the opportunity to try and find happiness in that sport. And I was able to maintain my boyfriend and I stayed together. So it was good. It was hard, but it was the right decision for me.
Well, so you moved to uOttawa, and I mean, you could have chosen a worse situation to move into, because in 2018, with the GGs, you won the 2018 U Sports National Championship, and you scored the winning goal. Yeah. So I watched that goal last night, and that was a great goal. Like that was a screamer from 30 yards out, bar down and in to make it 2-1. Like the keeper had no chance. Came out of nowhere.
I have I probably could never redo that in a million years. I don't know what came over me, but yeah, even still I'm like, I don't know how I did that. Like,
do you still think about it every now and then? Be like, oh, that was such a good shot.
Yeah, it's so crazy. But yeah, I was so fortunate to come home and join the uOttawa program. I had a really good relationship with Steve and Mark Fowler and Stu Barber. I knew them all. And my first year back, that we won in my second year. And my first year back was like a good kind of like we built into that like year. Do you know what I mean? Like it was a good learning year for everyone. We learned like how to become what it really means to be a team and stuff like that over the course of the previous year. So then the year that we won nationals, like that was the most in sync team and like committed team I've ever been a part of. It was just like a storybook team, storybook ending, everything. But yeah, my first year back was, especially for myself, like a big transition kind of building year. I was relearning to love the game, relearning or rediscovering my confidence, kind of building that up, building up trust with like the coaching staff and everything, and adapting to like a completely different environment. I think like the biggest thing in the US that I felt was, and a big reason behind like me becoming so anxious and stuff was, it felt like you had to be perfect in every single thing you did, which is just an unrealistic expectation. As like humans, we're meant to make mistakes. That's often how we learn. But when you're constantly punished and like with extreme punishments for those mistakes, it just like you get so anxious because you never want to make them. But I mean, it's going to happen every now and then. And like, it was just like a very controlling environment. Whereas like coming home and learning that like, oh my gosh, it was okay if I made a mistake, or like, I was allowed to eat certain things. Like it was just so like, it was a lot to adapt to. It was great though. Like I actually felt more, it's kind of weird because like you go to school and you're 18 and like you're kind of you're becoming an adult, but I'd never felt more kind of like a child. Like I was monitored in every single thing I did, what I ate, if my schoolwork was done. Like, it's a very, where Ottawa you're expected to be an adult and be able to take care of those things yourself. And like, your body, so you can eat what you know is going to benefit you, not what they say is going to benefit you. So it was just a huge transition, but an amazing one. And then kind of we learned through my first year back, like as a team, what was great for us. And we kind of went through a bit of a lower point, which really helped us come out of it and like build from there. And then we had an incredible 2018, 2019, I think 2018, 2019 season, or
I guess it's 2018, and then that like kind of led into 2019.
Yeah, so that year though was just like the most incredible soccer year I think I will ever have in my entire life.
Well, yeah, because that national championship wasn't the end of it. That you then qualified for the first ever University World Cup, which was held in China. So the last person I actually spoke with was your goalie Margot Shore.
Yeah.
So she had a great view of that whole tournament from the back end. Your team made it to the final against Paulista University from Brazil. And so Margot said that like that was the best team that your GG's team had like ever faced till that point.
Oh, yeah.
Did your team like run tape on them? Like what were your thoughts going into that like championship game?
Well, truthfully, like I just going into the tournament in general, like I wasn't sure what to expect because that summer prior, there was 4 of us who had gone to the FISU, like Universiad, kind of, it's like an Olympics for student athletes. So it had like every sport, and we went there, and it was the way that they made that team for soccer was like a selection of players across all the universities in Canada. So we went there, and like those games were very hard. We didn't actually, our results didn't turn out as great as we had hoped, and so going into this FISU tournament, I didn't know, like we were all like, oh, we don't really know what to expect. Like that was so hard. So we weren't really sure how we'd fall. But I think like if there's anything I've learned from like those two tournaments is there's so much to be said for team chemistry and like working together as a team. Like that Ottawa U group had been together, and we did have some newer players, but a good core of the group was from the previous 2018 team. And it's just like when you spend and play so much time together, you learn how each player works, what works for them. Whereas like in contrast, when we went to Italy for the other one, it was a bunch of players who were selected from Canada, across the Canadian schools, but thrown together. And yes, like each one is very talented, but everyone is coming from a different background and how they work. So I think like, and when I had talked to a couple of the girls from the Brazil team, like, because that team was so good, like skilled, fast, smart, like just know the game. And they have players now on their full national team playing with Marta. So they were a very talented team.
Wow,
but yeah, when I talked to them, they said it was the fact you guys played so well together as a team. Like you guys fought that whole game as a team. And I just think like there's so much to be said for that. And I would agree, because like, were we as skilled as them? No, but we had the heart for like, and the drive for each other. Like we wanted to work for each other, and it's just, yeah, like, I don't know, going into that game, we watched a bit of video, but it was a bit like, we didn't have that much video to watch. So we kind of went in knowing that they had beat every team before them, like some by quite a big number.
They really thumped pretty much every other team.
Yeah. So that was a bit not like nerve-wracking in a good way. I don't know. It's like we were most definitely probably the underdog going into that, but I think like I don't know if for me at least, like that almost pushes me more.
Pumped you up as opposed to being daunted by it.
Yeah. That for me would be my last game ever with like those, like a player for Ottawa U. So like you just want to leave everything you have. And there was a couple of us in that situation, but yeah, I think we all had a good attitude going into it. Like we truthfully, I don't think expected to get that far already. So we just kind of like would go off of our previous game, like, well, we were able to do that, so like why can't we do this? You know what I mean?
So you're in your second professional year, right?
Yes. But last year I only ended up like playing a half year.
Was that because of COVID or?
Well, yeah, kind of. I accepted the contract like already a bit later in the season, just because that was my first time trying to figure out how everything works. I didn't really know what I was doing. This offer came like out of nowhere to go to Finland, but at the time I was like, I'm doing nothing in Ottawa, like everything's shut down. I just need to get out of here. I need to play. I need the experience. So I knew that I was going in late, but then I was supposed to, by the time I had actually gotten there, it was like 2 months after the fact that I was supposed to be there. So I ended up only getting to play, I think like 7 games there, but if I had gotten there when I was supposed to be, it would have been maybe like 12 or 13 games. Okay. But yeah, so then this is my second contract, but I'll be here for the duration of the full season.
Okay. So Iceland soccer, like I think is interesting for like a lot of people because it's such a small country. So their men's national team is like well documented, like takes
Yeah.
on Spain, Italy, whoever they just like overperform. Like they're
Yeah.
it's like 300,000 people there. But the women's team is no slouch either. Like they're ranked I think 18th in the world. But they like again they have the population of like Orleans, Barhaven, and Canada.
I know, it's so crazy.
Yeah. So like I know you haven't been there long, but I'm especially curious about the infrastructure for like the women's game. Like what's it like there? Like because I know the men's side, the men's leagues have like multiple divisions, like 4 or 5, 6 divisions or something like that. What's the women's side like?
I know that there are multiple divisions here also. I don't know how many. But I know like under the league that we're in, there's like a couple that fall after. Yeah, I'm not sure on the exact number, but I mean, I think like in our league, I believe it's 10 teams, and they're like spread obviously across Iceland. And I'm like just based off of what I've seen so far, and like our facilities, like they're pretty nice. Like I can understand like how a lot of like being able to be a top team play, everything is like you have to have access to like certain things where like so our facility like in it, one of them we have two because we're the like two combinations
Right,
of
right, yeah.
but like the one that we normally train at has a huge indoor facility which is pretty much like we have access to whenever we want really, which is great because like that allows even like myself to go in and get extra training when I need it. There's like a gym in there, lots of like meeting rooms, like a club, like it's more of a like you have access to the things that you need to be at your top competing level as an athlete.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the case for all the clubs across Iceland because I haven't really gotten to see much yet, but I think that that's an important part. Like being a good athlete is more than just being able to play the game. Like there's like a mental side of it, like the actual athletic side to it, like the gym. Like there's so many different things that contribute to making you like a good all-around athlete. So I think like from what I've seen so far, we have a lot of like access to things that can contribute to that. So yeah.
Okay, so there's like a lot of like different support features, I guess.
Yeah. And like our coaches are committed, like if we want extra training, they will be the ones to provide that. So that's great. It's not like I'm going out and making up a session for myself. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I just feel like it's a really good environment to develop and learn. And so.
Okay. So I've just got a few quick questions for you.
Yes.
Who has had the biggest impact on your career so far?
Oh, that's a very tough question. For sure, soccer related. There's been a couple coaches I think that have really made me and shape me into the player I am today from like a youth level. Chris Grimes and Sanjeev has been consistent throughout my career from he like found me, started and like developed me. And I still, when I go home, train with him. So he's been like consistent, but like Chris Grimes was my first club coach that really developed me. And then Raz Alasmar, I was with him for a long time and he was a great coach, positive influence, really it was like a tougher time in my life. So he was like very good for me. And then I would say Steve and like the whole Ottawa U staff has been really good at helping me regain everything that I had lost and like grow from there. So yeah, definitely. But then outside of soccer, of course, my family is incredible. The sport has given me my whole life to pursue this path, even though it's not always the easiest. They had to give up and sacrifice a lot. So obviously those coaches and my family.
What's your favorite field to play on in Ottawa?
That's a good question. Probably I think the like Minto field at Ottawa U.
Oh yeah.
That's just like our favorite field. It would have to be any turf field because unfortunately all our grass fields are like have huge dirt patches in them because of our winters. So but I think like that Minto field has like been home for us or myself over the last couple of years. Obviously COVID put a huge damper in that, but I was still going to train with them when I finished. So that's probably my favorite field.
Okay. If you could play a different sport professionally, what would it be? And it doesn't have to be like one that you've actually done.
Yeah. I think though it would be gymnastics. I just love I mean, it's my favorite sport to watch on like during the Olympics. I think like the stuff that they do is so incredible and like so few people can do that. But then I do love like but I'm super short, so I mean, basketball wouldn't be really a thing, but I do think it's a fun sport.
You can still do that.
Yeah.
Muggsy
Well,
Bogues was 5'3".
that's taller than me though, so I don't know. Only 1 inch, but I mean,
It's fine.
yeah.
Your favorite food?
I love fruit. I really love fruit. Any fruit, except for grapefruit.
Okay.
Watermelon?
So if anyone gives you like like one of those edible arrangements for your birthday, that would be like a good bet.
That is what my boyfriend gets me every time.
No way. Right on.
Yes, I'm like, I would prefer that over flowers because then I can eat it. The best.
Right on. So what's something that you've started to do like during COVID or like because of COVID that you might keep doing once COVID's over?
Well, I think like through COVID, something that a lot of people have like had to deal with is like I don't know, stress or anxiety because it's like an unknown. We don't know what's happening.
That's not great.
Yeah, exactly. I've just really put like an emphasis on self-care. It depending on the day, like it varies, but like even if it means just like taking a bath and reading a book and like time to like just take care of myself, I think is just the most important thing. Even if that was like writing in a journal or like reading a positive like story. My brother brought me this book of like all these like acts of human kindness that just like sometimes you read and like just makes you feel good. So just doing little things like that, I think have been really important for me. And I think if anyone can like take time to do good things for themselves right now, they should be because it's such a hard time. Nobody knows how to get through it because it's like new for everyone. So trying things out that I don't know, anything that can like make you feel a bit better, it's worth it. Yeah.
Nice. I was just gonna say like I cut my hair now.
Yeah, well, I've been cooking too. I like that.
Okay.
I was actually really fortunate throughout COVID that while I was at home, I was able to work the whole time. Um, so because I work at Sport Check while I'm home, but I work in the like online order department. So I was working the whole time. But that has also been something that kind of kept me sane. I'm a very like busybody, so I can't imagine if I hadn't been working and sitting at home, which is majority of a lot of people. Like my brother was one of those people who didn't get to work. And I just can't imagine. I was very fortunate. So
If you're at a chip stand, do you get poutine or regular fries?
probably regular fries,
Yeah.
I think. But I love poutine too. It just depends on the day. But cheese sometimes hurts my stomach. So
That's fair. That's fair.
yeah.
Wearing sweatpants to the grocery store, is that okay for you or not okay?
Absolutely always okay. I am probably always wearing sweatpants to work.
I always feel very self-conscious if I'm like out and about in like sweatpants. I don't and like I don't know why. It's just it's just me and I'm not and like I'm not like looking at other people in sweatpants. It's just like
Yeah.
how I feel in sweatpants.
No, I know a lot of people like that. I am just not one of them. I don't care. And especially now in COVID, wear the sweatpants, wear your pajamas, do whatever makes you happy. Yeah. I mean, I haven't worn my pajamas to the grocery store yet, but I mean,
You're trying to make, an impression on Iceland.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I wouldn't be judging anyone if they did.
Exactly. Okay, so last question. Pie in the sky. What's one club that you would absolutely love to play for one day? Like pie in the sky, in your dreams. I'm playing for this club.
I don't know if I have a specific club, but I can say like I think I'd love to play in France. Just anywhere. I mean, obviously in like my goal would be to reach the like top league, but I would be happy to play in France. That's always just kind of been a goal of mine. So it wasn't ever like a specific club, but I would like to play in France.